This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Alpha Natural Resources, an energy company dedicated to respecting the land. Alpha Natural Resources, we power the world through the energy of our people. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, promoting the free enterprise system to enhance economic competitiveness. Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.
Welcome to This Week in Richmond, and a very special welcome to the Secretary of Education, Laura Fornash. We appreciate your being with us. And at this time, as we're ending 2012 and rolling into 2013, the session, being able to inform our viewers about some really significant initiatives that are underway this coming year. So I know you have many places you can start, but you choose where you'd like to start, and let's let the viewers know.
Well, thank you, David. Really enjoy being with you today and have this opportunity to talk to you about some of the governor's priorities for education in the upcoming session. You may have seen the press conference that was held last Thursday to really focus on teacher professionalism. We recognize that one of the most important individuals in a young person's development is a teacher, and so we really want to focus many of our efforts during the legislative session on teachers. And so what you'll see first and foremost is a pay increase for teachers. We've allocated a 2% pay increase. The governor's put in $59 million to cover the state share of that pay increase for teachers, and that'll be the first pay increase that teachers have received in over 5 years from the state. So we're really excited about that, and we know that that will really help teachers to raise their salaries throughout the Commonwealth. As part of the announcement last week, we've also created a number of other initiatives that we're excited about. And the second one is a grant program. It's called Strategic Compensation, and it's a $15 million pot of general fund support that would be available for localities to apply to develop their own strategic compensation programs. It's an incentive-based program that's created by teachers, really focusing on those behaviors that are important to the profession and those things that are, at the end of the day, really going to improve student performance. So we're excited to be able to provide $15 million of general fund support on a grants basis to local school divisions to apply for that program. We're also going to be creating a teacher cabinet. We created a teacher work group this past summer to get ideas from teachers about things that we could do at the state level to really free them up from some of the red tape and bureaucracy we hear about and some of the things that take away time from students. And so we're going to formalize that initiative and create a teacher cabinet with representatives from throughout the Commonwealth that would meet on a quarterly basis with the governor and myself to really share their ideas about things that we could do to help improve the classroom. So we're excited about that initiative so that we can bring teachers into Richmond to hear directly from them about those things that can help improve a young person's performance. We're also creating the Governor's Center for Excellence in Teaching. One thing that we heard this summer, and we heard from the K-12 Reform Summit that we hosted here in Richmond, was the need for greater professional development for teachers. And we had a symposium this year that we moved throughout the state and partnered with our higher education institutions to really focus on a professional development series that would provide tools to teachers that they could use in their classroom. This year we focused on differentiation. We foresee in the future focusing on other topics such as use of technology, data, and things like that that we think will be helpful to teachers. But we really wanted to create a center, and this is something that Governor Hunt talked about when he was in Virginia, that he did when he was governor of North Carolina. And it was a center that was focused on teacher excellence and really building the young professionals to be leaders in the classroom and leaders in their classrooms and school buildings. And so we're very excited about this Center for Teacher Excellence that'll be available next year as a result of our budget efforts. So those are just a few of the highlights as they relate to teachers and our K-12 agenda.
Quite a start. If we looked back at some of those, and let me check out and make sure we have the correct understanding, the pay increase is that somewhat contingent on a local match of the locality?
That is exactly right.
So that encourages the localities to come up with their part as well.
That does, and we've been very pleased to hear from the Virginia Association of Counties and VML in support of the pay increase. And I know it's going to be tough on localities to find that match, and they're working on that, but they recognize that it's been 5 years since the state has provided a pay increase for teachers. And so I know they're working hard to find a way for localities to provide that match. And
so the pay increase would begin in the second year of the budget?
That's correct. It would be effective July 1 of 2013, and that would actually align with the 2% pay increase that the governor and the legislature put forward for state employees that'll go into effect this July.
Good. So tell our viewers a little bit more too about the grant program. I think you said there's $15 million or something that's there for localities. That second year of the budget again?
That's correct. It's called strategic compensation, and it's a concept that we've actually borrowed from Salem City. And it's a concept that they've developed working with their teachers. And what we envision is a competitive grant program where local school divisions would develop an incentive program to reward teachers for certain behaviors that align with the education goals of that particular local school division. So they would apply to the Department of Education to receive access to these funds to be able to reward to their teachers who are going above and beyond the call of duty to provide extra support, whether it's mentoring fellow teachers, providing professional development opportunities for their colleagues, whether it's taking some other type of leadership role in their schools, whether it's extraordinary progress with students. Those would be decisions that would be made by the local school division as best complements the things that they're working on.
So that would be a real encouragement, it would seem, to the localities to get in on that, because $15 million is a significant amount, but it's probably not enough for every school division in the Commonwealth to do it. So there'd be some competitive applications?
Exactly, and so we recognize it's obviously a short period of time for localities to gear up to be able to provide this program. We also do have the requirement that localities provide some type of professional development to complement this program, so that would be something that they would provide with their own resources through the school division.
I think one of the other things you mentioned was bringing teachers into Richmond for a conversation with you, with the governor. Will they be, how are they chosen? There's some teachers out there here have probably already heard this.
Exactly, and they'll be emailing my office.
And they're wondering, so is that going to be through an executive order or through legislation, or are the details worked out yet as to how many teachers and how this will be handled?
Sure. Good questions, David. We do anticipate an executive order to define the teacher cabinet, as we're calling it. We are envisioning to provide 2 representatives from each of the 8 superintendents' regions, because we do want to have good geographic representation. We also envision the Virginia Teacher of the Year participating in the cabinet. We're still working out the selection criteria, but we do want to make sure that we have great geographic representation throughout the Commonwealth, and then obviously provide another opportunity for Virginia's Teacher of the Year to participate in this important dialogue with our governor 4 times a year.
And some of our viewers know, but others may not, but an executive order established by a governor continues beyond the governor's administration unless it's changed by an incoming governor. So while it doesn't go into the code, it could set something up that could have more than just the lifespan of the remaining time of Governor McDonald's time in office.
We would really hope so. We think that an incoming governor would want to hear directly from teachers, as well as we all strive to better understand the challenges that teachers face and ways that we can address those at the state level.
Now, you've been on the road. Before we started the conversation on the air, you were talking about some of the times with Secretary Chang, Secretary of Economic Development and Commerce and Trade area. What's been happening in this arena, and what sort of message are you and Secretary Chang taking? Some people might find it challenging to say education and economic development.
Well, I'm actually a little disappointed that we've waited so long to travel together and to meet with whether it's technology councils or local chambers to really reach out with the governor's message. The governor ran on a campaign of creating more jobs, and so his focus has been on economic development and job creation. But the governor recognizes and appreciates and has created a tremendous agenda around education because he knows the tremendous role that education plays in job creation and economic development. So Secretary Chang and I put together a little road show, and we've been reaching out to local businesses, technology councils, to really help educate them to some of the things that we're doing at the state level, but also to get their ideas of ways that we can be helpful from a policy perspective in getting some of their ideas and ways that things that we can do at the state level to better help them be more competitive in the marketplace.
So it's working well. You're going to be continuing that, or have you completed the road shows?
Well, hopefully we'll be continuing that. I think people have enjoyed the opportunity to hear the governor's goals as it relates to commerce and trade, and then also to see the complement of the education priorities. Most of the audiences have typically been companies and businesses, and that's one thing that we've heard very loud and clear is that businesses recognize the tremendous system of education that we have in Virginia. They want to be supportive, and they want to have a better understanding of the things that we're working on in the state level and understand how they can be involved. And so I'm very hopeful that we will continue to do more of these dialogues that have included some time for listening and gathering of ideas.
Some of it surely may be on higher ed, but some of it on career and technical ed as well.
I'm so glad you brought that up, David, because that's actually been a new area for me, and one that the governor has really focused on recently with the diploma legislation that was passed last year. You were very helpful in representing the career and technical educators. The governor has always said that he wants to ensure that young people are college and career ready when they graduate from high school. And the diploma legislation last year reformed the number of diplomas that are offered, high school diplomas that are offered by the state. And the exciting part is now the standard diploma requires an industry certification. And we have over 350 industry certifications that are approved by the Department of Education. But now a young person will graduate either ready to go off to college or ready with an industry certification and be ready for a job. And we just want to do more in this area of career and technical education. You'll see in the budget that we've provided some additional funding for localities as it relates to certifications. We know that's a cost to the localities, and we want to make sure that students have the most current equipment and programs available to them that our business community needs. We've also got a planning grant for a high school that focuses on apprenticeships. We really do want to strengthen the career and technical programs that are available. We have a number of companies coming forward and saying we really need more trained technicians, welders, electricians. So we're looking at a concept that would create more of this in the high school environment, and also ensuring that a young person's academics are aligned with the career and technical education that's provided. So I think you'll see a lot more from us in the career and technical education in the upcoming year.
What about the community college system? What initiatives do you see, or I don't know if it's a segue on career and technical ed or other matters that you'd like to inform our viewers some about our strong community college system that we have?
Well, thank you, David. I can't say enough good things about Virginia's community college system. We have an incredibly responsive community college system to our business community. We also have a very active community college system. One of the things that we've been working on as part of the governor's agenda is increasing dual enrollment. We really want more students to have an opportunity in high school to take community college courses, because we know that it'll do two things. It'll build their confidence and skill level in being able to take college level courses, but also at the end of the day, we hope it saves them some money by being able to get, whether it's an associate's degree or even a one-year certificate while they're in high school. So we see a tremendous role that the community college is playing as it relates to college preparation, but also in regards to career and technical education. And the governor's provided additional funds to support non-credit education, to really work with employers as they're trying to retrain their workforce to be able to provide for the jobs of the future. And then we've also provided in this budget some equipment for the community colleges to use for workforce training. That's one thing that we've heard, is that many community colleges need upgrading as it relates to the equipment that they're training our students on. So we're very excited to be able to provide equipment and then really focus young people into taking those classes while they're in high school.
You know, I think if we had a snapshot of a decade ago and compared it to a snapshot today, that there's been a great deal more emphasis on community colleges working with the four-year institutions to help students have almost a seamless transition.
We really are a leader in the Commonwealth as it relates to transfer and articulation, and I actually take that back to the Restructuring Act that was passed in 2005, really requiring all of our public institutions to have articulation agreements between the 2- and 4-year institutions. And it wasn't long after that that we saw our independent and private colleges also providing for automatic transfer. So for a young person to be able to go into a community college, complete their associate's degree, meet the requirements of a 4-year institution, and be automatically accepted into a 4-year institution is just a tremendous tool for families that helps with affordability as well as preparation for that 4-year college experience.
Some of those, I think, that I've seen, if you had a certain grade average, it almost guaranteed you some admission.
It really does, and so it helps from a number of standpoints. One, from a preparation standpoint, a student who may not really be ready right after high school to go to a 4-year institution is able to stay at home and go to the community colleges and really refine their academic skills. But it also helps with that student that's got their heart set on that one in particular institution, whether it's public or private. They know through a guaranteed articulation agreement that they meet these requirements, they take these courses and get these grades, and they're automatically in.
And I would think, too, that's got to be a help as far as the capacity that the public and the private 4-year institutions have if they pick up more students, possibly at the time that they're starting to lose some of their ones that entered the 1st or 2nd year who either transfer or for some reason drop out. So if they're picking up students, 3rd-year students.
And that really has been, I think, a win-win for the 4-year institutions, is many of them do have capacity, more capacity in the 3rd and 4th year. And so whether it's through the community colleges face-to-face program or through distance learning, many institutions do have greater capacity at the 3rd and 4th year to be able to bring on those transfer students.
Well, going back to some of the initiatives, I know you've got some materials right there with you, but it seems like everything's in your head too that you're living. What else would you want to stress that you see taking place in what really is the last year of our one-term governor's process that we have here in the Commonwealth?
Has anyone told the governor it's just one term? We have a number of things that we're still working on as it relates to K-12 innovation and really continuing to encourage innovation, whether it's through charter schools or virtual schools. You were asking me about the meeting this morning, and we've really had a great opportunity to see how our K-12 system has embraced virtual education. And now we have both Chesterfield and York who are able to provide full-time online instruction for their students. They're offering many of those courses throughout the Commonwealth, whether you're in Falls Church or some other area of the state. You really see our K-12 community embracing virtual education, and that's very exciting. We want to continue to help support that. Charter schools is another area that we're continuing to want to help support localities, and I think what's been fabulous in Virginia is you're seeing a number of charter school applications coming through that have been created by teachers within a local school division. So we have teachers that are recognizing an opportunity or a way to differentiate what they do for whether a certain population of students and have an interest in creating a charter school. And so those are things that, at least 2 items that we're going to be continuing to work on in the upcoming year, as well as continuing to support our higher education institutions as we work to achieve the 100,000 degree goal that was set in 2011 through the Top Jobs legislation.
You know, some of the legislation enacted in the last couple of years, it allowed for universities to have not really a charter school, but something comparable to a charter school on campus. Do you see any movement at all in that?
We definitely do. They're called college lab schools, and the original legislation that Governor McDonnell introduced was introduced in 2011. and we refined it last year to include private institutions. And so we have a number of planning grants that have been issued to really bring together the local school division and the higher education institutions. So right now we have planning grants issued between Harrisonburg City and James Madison University, Virginia State University and Dinwiddie County, George Mason University in Fairfax County, and Longwood University in Charlotte County. And we know that with this second wave of planning grants, we also have a number of private institutions that are coming forward and partnering with their localities. And this is just a tremendous opportunity to bring young people onto a college campus and give them the opportunity to experience it at a very young age. And that it also creates a living lab for our teacher education programs. And so we're very excited, and hopefully in the next year we'll see some of those schools actually starting to open.
I remember it might have been 2011 and some of the discussion that some of the legislators spoke of their experience in lab schools years earlier, and so it's not completely new.
That's correct.
But it disappeared for a while.
It did. Unfortunately, with the budget cuts that occurred, over the past 20 years, we have seen the concept of lab schools go away. And so you're exactly right. We had many legislators coming forward and speaking of their experience at Virginia State University, James Madison, Radford, a number of our institutions created lab schools, and so we're very excited that that's coming back, and we think it's a tremendous opportunity for the teaching profession to have the opportunity to really have those learning labs right there on campus.
It would be hard to go through the entire program without reflecting and asking you for any comments on what you see as a result of the tragedy that occurred in Connecticut. I know it's still early. We're having this conversation here in December leading up to the session. Are you in on some conversations of some things that might conceivably be proposed?
Definitely. I mean, all school divisions, both K-12 and higher education, are reviewing their security plans. The governor yesterday issued a press release announcing for the creation of a school safety task force. So we will be bringing in the K-12 community as well as the higher education community and public safety officials to really ensure that Virginia understands what the best practices are and has opportunities for our small school divisions as well as our large school divisions to have the proper safety mechanisms in place. We're obviously looking at funding issues that may prevent some school divisions for having safe environments, and so we're ensuring that by bringing together all the stakeholders through a task force that'll start in January. We know this has created a tremendous time of reflection, and as you can imagine, all of our hearts go out to the Newtown, Connecticut community as they're struggling with this challenge, and we're obviously sending all of our prayers there and also trying to learn whatever lessons we can and take this opportunity to reflect on the safety plans and how the schools work with the localities to be able to respond when situations like this occur.
I guess not too many years ago with the tragedy at Virginia Tech, there was an effort in higher ed, a similar way for the colleges to assess their safety that they had. While certain things can't ever be 100% prevented, but to try to be more vigilant.
Definitely, and what you saw as a result of the Virginia Tech tragedy and the incidents that occurred afterwards was much more of a focus on campus security, mental health issues, and so in Virginia we obviously brought together both of those communities to better understand what the best practices are, and I think at that time you saw all colleges and universities creating some type of emergency alert system. Right. You saw expanded access to mental health services for young people. So in 2007, there was a tremendous change in the way that we respond to emergencies like that and to students who have needs as a result of that incident.
We really appreciate your being on and talking with our viewers, and we will look forward to finding a time as you move on into 2013 to get you back on again. Good. Perhaps with Secretary Chang. We'll get the two of you together to talk about what you see happening in the coming year. But Secretary Fornash, we really appreciate your leadership in education, and thank you very much for being on This Week in Richmond.
Well, David, thank you so much for the opportunity. I've enjoyed it and welcome the opportunity to come back.
Thank you.
This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Alpha Natural Resources, an energy company dedicated to respecting the land. Alpha Natural Resources, we power the world through the energy of our people. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, promoting the free enterprise system to enhance economic competitiveness. Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.